the office of the Managing Director of the National Port Authority, the Honorable Sekou and Dukuly. Honorable Dukuly will be addressing himself to wiring of issues that has been taking place here at the port. If you've been listening to radio, you've been listening to social media, the port has generated from where we come from and where we are now. We're going to be talking about some of the good things that we've done. On behalf of the Managing Director, I want to say you guys are welcome. Without much ado, I want to say, Managing Director, welcome. And I want to say welcome to you guys, the press. I will begin the interview by asking Slugger, Diamond, who actually is the lead for his team, to begin the process.
So thank you so much, Lisa. So folks, welcome wherever it is you are watching. This is TV. My name is Diamond Slugger. The rest of the guys forming part of this exclusive interview will introduce themselves. I'll beginning with you.
Yes, it's great to be being given with us by Europe. My name is Robert.
Okay, my name is Waka Kamara. I'm the host of the Point Manufacturing Institute here this morning.
Thank you. Welcome.
And we also have a host of our other media colleagues here who is forming part of this.
Morning. Morning. You say James? Prince. Morning. Okay. Okay, Aaron Tyler. Yes, sir. Louis?
That's all.
There you go.
That's all for now. We have Aaron Kuba from DN News and also an illustrious Nigerian journalist. We want to say thank you.
Yeah, hearing that here. Still put a name on the face.
Conversation with you.
And General, we actually making sure
we should pay from dividends. Now, dividends are declared before they are paid. So that has to be at the end of the fiscal year. But if you are charging us quarterly, then it is unfair to us. So 1 year later, I told them that we're not going to be able to ask why. I said, because in our best practices in other countries, normally central government will budget for infrastructure development, for capacity building in the port. But surprisingly to us, when we got here, and you can't blame the government, I know the government has been cash strapped, but we receive zero contribution from the national government. So for us to be able to get the port functioning properly, we have to save and use that money to empower people from logistics to capacity building, to pay our staff and to benefits and so forth. So I told them that it was going to be hard for us to make quarterly payment. But in 2024, let's take this. In 2024, the $3 million we contributed Diamond. LRA also withheld taxes from leases and concessionaire that we have in the port. They collected about $2.3 million and remitted that to LRA. 1.7 billion came from withholding taxes from our employees. In 2024, about $934,000 went to NASCO. So if you total everything, it came to about $8.1 million just in year one. If you compare year to year, you see practices that were here prior to even the last regime. Practices where they will collect that money and use it on operations and other things, but we're not sending it to the government. So if you look at our first year performance, we were able to contribute about $8.1 million.
All right.
Yeah, so contributing $3 million last year to the national budget,
yes.
And we are in the year 2025.
Yes.
Is there anything there for the Liberian people?
Yes, I just named those to you on Barker. We are going to focus this time. We are going to abide by PFM law. PFM law states that we should contribute from the dividend. So we are going to wait for that dividend to be declared, and we'll make that portion of that dividend payment when it's declared to the central government. But again, don't forget about also taxes that have been withheld from concessions. We're going to pay those. We're going to make sure we are paying taxes withheld from employees and also NASCO. Taxes that are withheld from their NASCO contributions. We're going to make sure those are paid.
All government institutions been holding the National Food Authority.
Yes.
I don't know how far you are in getting those funds from the entities that are holding the NPA.
I'm glad you brought that up. I believe we were in cabinet a couple months ago. The president asked and told those people that our own NPA, because those are numbers that we capture into our budget also to pay, to make contributions to the national budget. But in between NAFA, LPRC, LPMC, they owe about 6.5 million. So if we just did some offsetting, that would have made our contribution around 5.8 that would access to the national budget already. So your question is how far we do that?
Yeah.
The answer is we haven't got it anywhere, but there has been cooperation lately from LPRC and NAFA. There has been cooperation. There are ongoing discussions, making sure that there's some payment plans set up so that they can have quarter on those bills. Let me say a big thank you to the LPRC boss. We met last Thursday. The two board chairmen plus the two MDs met. We are putting mechanisms together to making sure that they are at least making monthly payment on those liabilities.
Great. So let's come to the big one that is actually bombing on the social media.
What's the big one?
Prior to yes, it's going to be follow-up question.
Yes,
prior to you taking over 14 months ago, I guess you made some agreement. When you review this agreement, what were your own impression before I go to a follow-up?
Very good, very good. Yes. Okay. So I think you're going to everything else. Number one was the marine services agreement. We were able to review that agreement. It should have been reviewed, I believe, in August of 2023. That wasn't done. When we got here, it was pushed, renewed for a year because the previous government was not able to put in the necessary framework to get another 5 years done. Both parties could not agree. They pushed it for 1 year. We inherited that. In 5 to 6 months, we were able to successfully negotiate that with the folks with APM terminals. Okay. So we agreed that we reviewed that agreement and renewed it for another 5 years. But now the biggest takeaway to that is royalty from that concession increased from 15 to 20%.
Okay.
Not only that, we Liberianized the program. What do I mean by Liberianizing the program? For the first time, we told APM terminals and all of our partners here that after 5 years, the National Port Authority will take over the Marine Services Program. To be able to do that, we need to train our marine pilots, our seafarers, and so forth. So there are currently Liberians that we met in our program, and we are in the process of adding additional 4 to 5 Liberians. So we brought in our new Harbour Master Captain, Molo Lynch. He's working as serious as hard with APM terminals right now. For the first time in the last couple of years, we have Captain Lynch sitting right now in our APM terminal office, in the Harbour Master's office, making sure that vessel port calls are also in line with what the MPA wants to do.
Okay. Yeah, so let's get to the big one. This whole CTM thing. Yes. Critics said, well, it's a buy agreement 5-6 years ago, and you took over. You decided to review. Then, instead of you canceling it, you decide to extend it. You care to explain to Liberians?
Yes.
You have given an opportunity to listen to you.
Yes, thank you. A lot of arguments. We were charged to come and improve the national port authority. When you meet agreements, the number one responsibility or question you ask yourself, can we review this agreement? The definition of review, look at it and make it fair and equitable to all parties. So we looked at that agreement, we said, no, it wasn't fair to the Liberian people. Not only that, what we were receiving as royalty was inadequate. The fees were high for the business community. Okay. We said, no, that was unacceptable. We, through the stewardship of our management team, the board, Commissioner Dobojala, big thank you to the Finance Minister, Honorable Augustine Gafon. We got together over months and months of back and forth, our technical teams meeting from here, our legal teams meeting. We were able to get 40% royalty coming to the government of the Republic of Liberia into government GOL consolidated accounts. 40% of all revenue collected from GTMS.
From 3% to 40%.
Approximately 3% to 40%. Not only that, for the first 5 years, because it was an agreement for 15 years. Cancel it was one of our choices. But to make it better, because if you cancel it, then you have to bring someone in that will be able to get you more than what you want. That wasn't feasible. So what we did was we improved that. For the first 5 years, we are going to get 40%. Now there's an escalation plus of additional 5% for the next 5 years. So from 40 to 45% over the next 5 to 10 years.
There's an 18% in that 40% that is to go to the
National
NPA.
Yes, sir.
That wasn't included in the first deal.
No.
And also there is the usage of Liberian banks.
Yes.
That all funds must be
domiciled
here in the country.
Yes.
And there's also Liberianization in that deal.
Yes.
That Liberians should be higher in managerial positions and the rest. You said it was months of back and forth.
Yes.
But I want you not only to look at what port users are to benefit in terms of the reduction in the fees, but also how important were those other terms and conditions that were infused in that contract, not just for GTMS, but for the Liberian government and the NP as well.
And then thank you for that follow-up of Diamond. We have history in this country of the Liberian people being given peanuts. I believe it was one of the former ministers of Mines and Energy was telling me that even the royalty we get from concessions are from President Thomas' era. They tell me about it. From President Thomas' era, it doesn't adjust for inflation. It doesn't adjust for cost of living. It doesn't adjust for anything else. So for us, the benchmark was this contract that we made at the National Port Authority. If we were going to give them review, then they had to be better for us. Now, they asked about Liberianization also. Yes, that was one of the components that we added to the debate. If you go to Ghana, the Ghanaians are going to tell you that to do business here, you have to hire Ghanaians in town management. So why not Liberia? Why not Liberia? The president always speaks about best practice. So if it's done in Ghana and other countries, it should be done here. That's one of the first things we put on the table. And I'm glad the management of GTMS accepted that. Because we told them if you live here and do business here, you also want the Liberian people to look at you positively, not just taking money and leaving. So they also did well. They were very contrite. Again, we went back and forth. It wasn't easy. Business people don't like giving people money. I'm glad we're able to get the first, for the next 5 years, 40%. We Liberianize that program. will lower the fees for port users, which is also what the president said he was going to do.
That 18%,
Yeah.
how important is it for you?
Think about
And
it.
I want you to also back up on it
So-
with our modernization plans and what you've done to modernize the port.
Very good. Think about it. Let's put it this way. Let's do some math. Let's assume the government generate $20 million from that program. I mean, that's just a hypothetical. 18% of 20 million, I get my controller here. It's about what? 10 is 2, 3.8? 3.8. Yes. Tell me, in 5 years, the first 5 years of the existence of GTM and CTM contract, we could barely get $3 million. So what that does is, it helps right now rehabilitate the pier of Greenville. That 3.8 can do both Greenville, rehabilitate those two piers, fix the roads that enter into that port, additional fencing for ISPS and port security reasons, and also help with capacity building for our staff. Not only that, there are a lot of legacy issues with mayor, from pension issues to NASCAR liabilities. Some of the 3.8 can help pay some of that bills. So yes.
Yeah, so let me take it back. There were a couple of visits to Morocco last year.
Yes.
By you.
Yes. Yes.
What have been this issue about the AMCPA expansion with the Moroccans? How far are we?
Very good. We just completed, I think, the tender close for the design of the port master plan. Okay, so as you see currently, the entire country is surviving on 600 meters of quayside contact. So what that means is you have a vessel of 200 meters. You can fit 3 vessels, but by the time you get above 200 meters, you can only do 2 ships. So there are issues during the rainy season with rice and grains and clinkers coming into the country. Those are not favorable season for us, and we don't have the right infrastructure for discharging our vessels easily. There was a situation last year. It's been permanent here at the port of Monrovia. I mean, vessels staying for months on anchorage in international water before they make a port and dock. And when they dock, also it takes so much time to discharge. That's costing us a lot of money. So what we said to ourselves was, we need to expand the port of Monrovia. We have the LMC and BMT pier that they are there dormant, not at their full capacity. We need to expand and build a break bulk terminal in Liberia. That hasn't happened at the National Port Authority yet. So with that design and master plan, we'll not tender for the construction of that terminal. Our estimates we are getting right now in between 2 to 3 years, by May 2028. We are hoping that His Excellency can break ground. Can open that terminal for usage to not only Liberians, but to the international community, especially the MRE countries. Because the original intent of this Freeport of Monrovia was for transshipment, to do transshipment for Guinea, the forest region in West Africa, Sierra Leone, and Senegal, and so forth.
Yeah, so
we are hoping our expansion will bring Freeport back. Freeport back to its pre-war status.
Yeah, so before only coming,
Yes.
let's look at our image international wise. Global maritime industry. Where do we stand when it comes to our image? Because selling our image out there is very important. So I don't know how far when it comes to the MPA and our image out there.
I think the leadership, not only that, let's put in the context of port security, ISPS. For the first time in the last couple of years, we got A rating here at the Freeport of Monrovia, where it's fair to say we receive about 90% of goods coming into our country. So what that means internationally, insurance are cheaper. It makes our port attractive for vessel ports that are coming to West Africa.
Great.
People know that when they come here, they are going to be safe. Not only that they are going to be safe, but we'll have the right infrastructure, the right people in place, and making sure that when they come here, they spend less time. That's why ships make money when they are on the water, not when they are parked at ports. When they are parked here, it only costs us more money, and then business people pass those costs on to consumers.
Great. Since we're live, Liberian Cares will know, give us an update on other ports across the country. People just look at the Freeport. Most time you think about just the Freeport.
Because that's where 90% of everything is coming. That's the largest port. Buchanan also met the ISPS compliance this year. So then we go to Greenville. and Harper. But the challenge with those two ports are the road. During the rainy season, there's no way to get from the Ghana to Greenville. You have to go through Limba to Harper and Ranger to get there. So that port cannot be attractive until it's accessible to business people. For now, they are not. In doing so, we've been working with our deputy manager, director of operations, and all of the board directors in making sure those ports are viable.
Yes, let's look at some of the challenges. You see everything. I mean, in everywhere you may have challenges. Let's hear you people on the social media. Oh, Sekou Dukuly, Sekou Dukuly, Sekou. Let's hear some of the major challenges.
You know, reform is not easy, O'Neill. Like I said, the challenges are poor infrastructure. Poor infrastructure. I mean, when we travel around the world, especially when we go to Ghana or in Guinea, last year we went to Morocco. I mean, that's on another level because almost all of the commodities that come to our country right now, Morocco, Tangier, the biggest port in Africa, is their transshipment. The main transshipment port right now is Tangier. So they get there before the route through Abidjan and then here. So the first thing those ports, to be able to attract international investment, to make a port of first or port of call, you need the right infrastructure, you need the right technology, you need the right people. We haven't invested in those over the last couple of years. For the last maybe 20, 25 years, we haven't done the right infrastructure and investment coupled with manpower to do it. So until that can be done, coupled with legacy staffing issues, we are not going to be able to achieve our full capacity.
MD Dukuly,
Yes,
you talked about the master plan. That is a permanent long-term solution.
Yeah.
But what other?
I think it's medium term.
Yeah,
Short to medium term.
Short to medium term.
Yes, because
So
in 3 to 6 months,
Okay.
that master plan can be completed. Now, what that master plan does is, it will be able to build a financial model that will estimate the construction of that terminal. Then, what do we include? How many port users, like footer, port users on that end? Can we incorporate that operations into that terminal? That's what our master plan does. So in 3 to 6 months, by God's grace, hopefully whoever will win that bid, we are giving it 3 to 6 months to make sure that master plan is completed, so that by September, October, we can start some work down there.
Under your stewardship here at the NPA,
Yes.
What new equipment, because Liberians have complained from the delays in clearance, there are some issues with brokers and the rest, and it all falls on your lap. If the port is not user friendly, it comes back to you.
Yes.
What modern equipment, have you been able to bring in to make the port, not just for vessels docking in, but for people clearing their goods and products from here?
Starts with automation. We've been able to now speak to ABM terminals. That interface is automated. But for the first time, we'll install a modern 24-hour navigational aid, so ship can come in, discharge, and get out of our port. That's also going to help discharge faster, and access to goods will be also faster. Not only that, we are also making sure APM terminals are abiding by that concession. What do I mean by that? When it tells that you're going to buy new equipment in 2024, we're making sure you're buying those new equipment. When you say in 2025, your target is to add 2 or 3 new equipment, we're making sure those are added. We're making sure our harbor master is sitting right in your building over there, making sure they are also coordinating, docking of ship and leaving. So those are some of the issues that we had before. We let the concessionaire decide which vessel to come in and to leave. And at some point there was some gameplay there, but on our steel show, we're making sure that's not happening anymore.
Dredging, safety issue,
dredging. We'll do some maintenance dredging. There was dredging done here, I think about 3 years ago. It's 3 years ago. I think every 2 to 5 years we'll do some maintenance dredging. Now, when we shall do the new terminal we shall build a new terminal on the LMT and BMC pier, definitely those piers will have to be dredged fully, so that we can get bigger vessels. Bigger and heavier vessels.
Yeah, so let's focus on the port of Pikiano.
Yes, sir.
It's been highly used by ArcelorMittal.
Yes.
I don't know the agreement
Yes.
with the government of Liberia.
Yes.
You want to update us on that? Because
Yes.
every now and then we see iron ore being transported through the port of Bikano. What's the agreement with the government?
Very good, and I'm glad you asked that question because AML third amendment is with the IMCC/IMTC, Interministerial Steering Committee and Interministerial Technical Committees. For the first time, we've been able to establish our autonomy as a port. What do I mean by that? AML argument has been that the iron OPA that belonged to LMC was given to them in the MDA. And if you follow us closely here, one of the first argument or the discussion we had with them, they were included, but nobody told you that they were included for free. Because the port is autonomous, the National Port Authority is autonomous, an autonomous government agency that's taxed with what? Taxing and raising revenue and to sustain itself and making sure what services are provided to the Liberian people at the lowest cost. To be able to do that, we need to make sure that whatever that autonomy stops, we are in full control of that. So if you are using the IPA, the IOPA, you should pay for it. And I want to give the government officials, especially the Minister of Internal Affairs and all of the members on the NIC, the IMCC, the IMTC, they've done extremely well in making sure that going forward, once that third amendment is ratified, the National Port Authority will be getting the most, every revenue that we deserve from the Port of Buchanan, especially for AML. Not only from the iron ore operations, but also from marine services. So those are two issues that we have. The marine services has to do with the pilotage of ships in and out of our basin. So when you do that, that's statutorily our function. When you collect money from them, you're supposed to be able to give us the right royalty from that. Here is 20%, and that's the benchmark we set for all of our ports going forward. The minimum has to be 20%.
Great. So those who are watching the feed very concerned. They would like you to elaborate more on the CTM price reduction for importers. Can you give them a breakdown? Some people are saying, well, we don't understand the whole breakdown. We just seeing the politics of it, just running the social media. Some say it's a win-win. Some say it's a buy extension. Just give us a breakdown. So
let's say when 24 container used to be $115. It's now dropped to decreased by $15. I'm sorry, it was $120. Down to $95. 44 down to, let's see here to be exact, 44 from 230 to 190. 95.2. 45 for I believe. I'll find out one here. And we'll provide that.
So you get to start from the 25th?
24.95.
Yeah, the 24. So it's going to be 130 and 995, right?
95, yes.
So the 40 is to be 250, to drop to 190.
To 190.
Okay. 280 going to 213 for the 45 feet, right?
Yes.
Yes. It's a win-win. Let's get to the main question now. With all of this breakdown, we're seeing the yield reduction.
Of course.
Yes.
Also taking into consideration there used to be documentation fees, late fees. Especially documentation fees. In this new arrangement, there will be no documentation fees. That was additional, approximately between $10 to $15, $25 sometimes. There were even late fees that were charged to people. So we are saying in this new arrangement, you are not going to charge people documentation fees and other bogus fees and so forth.
Does this now make the port attractive?
Yes.
Because we had a lot of business going to neighboring countries for reduced fares and the rest. And much of the importation that was being done by road and all of these things, the NPA was losing because importers were concerned of high surcharges. These reductions, win-win.
It's a win-win.
It brings a lot of traffic to the port now.
And it's part of the ecosystem on Diamond that will be able to drive the overall cost of doing business. A few weeks ago, we had a very interesting, very important stakeholder meeting. Let me backtrack a little bit. For the overall ecosystem to work, we need to make sure banks are open 24 hours. Customs is here. LRA is playing a part. The Brokers Association is playing a part. The Truckers Union is also playing a part. So if you look at the entire ecosystem, NPA charges the lowest fee. But you do MPA, APM terminal, medtech, the brokers, the truckers, it makes it expensive. So what we are trying to say, we should get a single window system where we incorporate everybody. We imagine if you were to bring a container in, let's say you get 10-day course, that your container is in 5 days course. Because by the time you leave from Abidjan, we get our main port of call now is from Abidjan,
Okay.
which is very, very close. You get a 5-day copy. By the time you look 2 days, the vessel is there. It's right here, a couple of maybe 275 kilometers. The vessel is here. When the vessel arrives, if you have paid all your duties, you come here after 12 o'clock, the bank is closed. Then you can pay. You can get a manager check to pay. So 2 o'clock Friday, the bank closes. Then you have to wait till Monday. Yeah. So then you already lost a couple of days. You've been jammed by the fact that our port of call is Abidjan. You will have 2 days for the vessel to get here. The vessel arrived also, but you couldn't make payment because while the bank closed at 2 o'clock. So Central Bank, MPA, and LRA, the brokers, the custom people, the truckers union, everybody have to speak. And one other data that I need to disclose to the Liberian people here down. Everybody talks about the National Port Authority, APM terminal. You hear in the news a lot, but no one talks about the truckers union.
Okay.
Or truck, to move a 44 container from here to Waterside costs more than MPA and APM terminal fee combined.
All right.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm giving you. It costs about $200 to move one container from here to, let's say, Douala on a truck. MP and APM fees per container does not exceed that amount. So we need to have frank and open conversations with one another. It's easy to say MPA, but let's look at the entire ecosystem. That's why the stakeholder meeting led by Mr. Gafon and myself the last time. We have a secretary that's currently working, making sure that deliverable that were established in that meeting are followed on from now to end of the year. We should come up with a position on what those charges, our charges should be. Hoping that the banks talking to custom is also speaking to us, and we are also talking to APM terminal.
I've got one very critical question for you, and that will conclude my questions for today.
Thank you.
And it's somewhat of the forbidden fruit, but I have to ask.
Yes, sir.
Is this proposed Liberia Port Regulatory Authority? Looking at, I've read through the documents extensively, and according to analysts, there might be some clashes or overlapping of functions that already exist with the Liberia Maritime Authority and that of the NPA.
Yes.
You, as the head of the NPA, what do you think about that proposed, Liberia Port Regulatory Authority? Are you not regulating already?
No, not yet. The last time I heard that law was passed from the Senate, it's in the House. I've been privileged, I've read it. Not only does it takes away the statutory function of the National Port Authority, but the Maritime Authority. Normally, the Maritime Authority is the body that regulates port activity and maritime activity in the Republic of Liberia. That law, if you look at Section 48, it's telling us that new law now will be the agency that regulates is usurping functions of the LMA, the Liberia Maritime Authority. By the time you do that, then you are in violations of major international conventions, from deviation to IMO, to all the other conventions that make sure seaports are running efficiently. Not only running efficiently, but they are safe. Not only that, Section 203 of that law also discriminates against diaspora Liberians. I don't know if you read that law, but what that says is you have to be able to work in the public sector in Liberia for 5 years before you are employed at the management level in any port in Liberia. Can you imagine that? Look at the contributions of diaspora Liberia and the diaspora community over the last couple of years. Then to write a law that would discriminate against that group. I used to be a member of that group anyway, just so you know. I've been here since 2019, but it's not a good law. Any law that target one group of people is not a law. Is that a stark contradiction to what we celebrated years ago
about this whole once a Liberian, always a Liberian.
Exactly.
And, welcome to come back home. When we have diaspora Liberians,
towards citizenship.
Yeah, towards citizenship. We have all of the things that we celebrated. Your overall assessment, and our senators and the rest. I know you don't want to go into the politics, but they should have legal teams that will inform them. They have a whole committee that deals with judiciary and legal matters, and going through that.
And also, Diamond, but to pass a law, don't talk to the Port Authority at all.
So they didn't talk to you?
We haven't been to any hearing. Talk to us, understand our challenges. We're asking people to help us invest in the port. You said there's no money. But with this new legislation, the central government will be able to infuse at least $50 million in the port. So we're saying, fine, if that's the case, then let's improve the current infrastructure, make them viable, and then somewhere down the road, we can relook at that. It might be a good law, but the timing is off, to my knowledge.
All right.
Yeah, so lastly, just two more from my end. With all have been said, security plays a very key part of the port. Let's look at measures put into place for safety and security of the port in its operation. Yes, you care to talk about that?
Yes, sir. Yes, it starts with perimeter fencing, access control. I don't want to delve into that, but we have joint security residing currently in the port. Because like I said to you earlier, that's part of why we are compliant at level A right now on the ISPS level. We need to make sure DEA is here, making sure that if you think you're trafficking drugs before, there's a lot of history about that. If you try it today, you will be not only apprehended, but you'll be reprimanded by the requisite authority. NSA is here. Let me not put all the security cars out there, but I can tell you, from the fencing to access control, if you're not supposed to be here, you can't be here. That tells you how much seriously we are taking security. If we didn't make those thresholds, we wouldn't have been ISP at level A compliant. So that's on our mind 24/7. And all the security agencies from NSA to LNP, they've been very responsive to Freeport.
Yeah, so I want to know UC, the Jordan of UC across the globe. Was there any effect, or is there any way that it affected the national port authority?
I mean, from a macroeconomic standpoint, of course it does. It's a shock that we are still absorbing. We are analyzing that internally. I know the finance minister, I spent some time with him last week when we were concluding this. Every time he sits with him, he talks about that shock and how government should respond. But let me leave that out. Let me leave that to Mr. Gafan. He's doing great. But imagine if we have 2 or 3 Liberians, or even 100 Liberians that will benefiting from employment from those agencies, and one day the President of the United States wakes up and duly he's right to do that and say, we are shutting this program down. It's affected the entire economy. It's affected our port users. From the business standpoint, we don't do a lot of business. We don't benefit from infrastructure development, but we're all together. We are one people, one country. On one thing, imagine $200 million that are coming to this economy is now drawn away out of a sudden, abruptly. It definitely does affect every sector of this country, from the port to farming to the school in Bakolo that I was maybe waiting for Mary Meal. It did affect the entire economy.
Massive improvement 2024. Do we hope to see a better 2025?
Yes, capital projects. I think Senator Creighton Duncan for us will be there tomorrow to talk to him about our plans. Last year, the budget that we inherited wasn't our aspirations or vision, but I can tell you this 2025 budget, you'll see massive infrastructure improvement from here to Buchanan to Greenville and to Harper.
Okay. So MD, we will give the opportunity to our colleagues also to at least throw a question.
My name is Louis Ted, direct for the New Dawn.
The New Dawn?
Yeah.
Yeah, Louis.
So listen to your achievement you listed, and I'm constrained to ask,
yes, sir.
What would you say to some of the critics who want to say the achievement just listed are inadequate
then you need to step up again in terms of the contribution to the national budget. What would you say to such people?
I think those are, I mean, it's fair. The space we work in is fair to criticize us, but we're asking them to give us time and patience. Please be patient with us, give us time. We're dedicated, we come here every day. Every day. I mean, I can tell you that I want to do something, but look at the current budget and look at how much we budgeted for capital projects. I can tell you our budget this year, about $6 million just in capital projects, from peer rehabilitation to renovating buildings and making sure that we have the right equipment for our staff.
Thank you. Yes, MD, thank you. Aaron Tali again. Weeks ago, the president talked about youth empowerment, job creation. Man, I know you are doing well when it comes to job creation, but what up to increase job creation for young people?
I mean, Aaron, thank you. Yes, the president said we should all do more as far as the youth will be at our houses. At our end here, I mean, we have capacity building is there. It's fair to say we carry our own law that we are totally on our head right now when it comes to the employment issue. So we'll not be able to provide a lot of opportunity. But I believe there are some internships in the pipe, scholarships to Regional Maritime University in Ghana, and we were able to send 25 people to China through the magnanimity of the Chinese embassy, the Chinese government. We are going to build on that and make sure that our people here are equipped with the right technology, the right tools. But when it comes to, I mean, from a macro sense, employment, I think if we can make the sport cheaper and contribute more to the national government, I think central government will have enough money to spread around. So I'm looking at it from that context. But very good question.
Yeah, MD, my name is Aaron Kuba.
Kuba from where?
I manage the online DN News Liberia.
Oh, DN News, yeah.
Yes.
The famous Aaron Kuba.
Yeah. So let me begin firstly by commending you when you said you have made 9 months here reflected on the past MDs of this institution. I saw some 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah,
so I think 14 months.
14. Is that a record?
You're trying a lot. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I want to ask a question. I think it has to be a tell it out answer.
Yeah.
There is this concern about you watching the payroll of the NPA. Mm-hmm. Since you came here, mm-hmm. you've employed more people in this area, or contracted more people, and this has put a weight on the NPA. The other side of that debate is that there are some astronomical increment in salary to people who are quote unquote unqualified. They don't have the requisite qualification or competency to have certain positions that we've given them. I want you to tell the public what's the statistics when it comes to the number you met here in terms of your overall staff and the number of people you employ. If you feel pleased to do that.
No, absolutely.
So the number of people that you employ here, and, just to bring, to approach all for this opportunity because of many monster opportunity.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Well, I thought the interview over, but that question is appropriate. The criticism, most of the criticisms are unfounded. Let's backtrack a little bit here from 2017 to 2023. From about 386 employees to about 1,800 that didn't have it on a wage. In 2023, which was an election year, about 486 people are added to the bureau. So more than 400 people are added to the bureau. We're not close to half of that in more than 12 months here. And that's the fact I'm giving you. I can provide that information to you before you leave. Most of those criticisms are also political, which is fair. We are in the public sphere. But again, when we got here, the first thing we did was to look at the institution as a whole. And in consultation with the board gave us a mandate that they want to see the National Port Authority not only efficient but lean and functioning, because there are issues that we inherited Aaron, from pension issues. Those that work there, when they retire, they're supposed to get pension from the MPA. We have to pay for that. There were deduction from payroll, from NASCO to other government agencies that were not paid. We inherited those. We inherited a dilapidated institution. No, our offices there, no chairs. People were standing. We've been able to now, after this interview, I think you can walk around and see the improvement we made. But at the end of the day, the board oversees our operation. They were able to share our vision with them. They instructed us to work with them and work with the Ministry of Labor, the door workers union, making sure that this place is efficient and lean. That means have the right amount of people that you need so that you can be able to pay all your bills and benefit and your liabilities and so forth. And that's what we're going to do.
Any?
All right. So, MD, thank you again. As I did the intro, I'll love to do the outro. You know, the team of journalists here.
Yes.
Thank you to them as well.
Yes.
And information is needed, and we hope such interactions can be mimicked by others.
Yes.
So that we can not just go to state radio.
Yes.
No prejudice to state radio, but there are other independent media outlets that want to hear you. This interview is being relayed on several other stations across the country. Liberians, whom and abroad, have been listening and watching as well. Your message to importers, Liberian business owners, entrepreneurs, and the rest is that they can come and use the port here, and they will get a seamless, less expensive service than what it used to be prior to the renegotiated CTM deal.
Yes.
And you're working on making sure that transportation from truckers and the rest, you know, everything can be combined into a one system payment that can also affect meaningful change. If I got that right from you.
Yes.
We're closing now, and as I said, we love to have these interactions. I saw pictures from the Greenville port, and I was shocked. I haven't been to the Greenville port, but I've been to Sino once.
Yes.
I haven't been at the port, and I saw those pictures, and I wondered, how can we have an outstation port that looks like that?
Yeah.
You know,
Very
renovation
good.
works ongoing there.
As we speak to you, renovation work is ongoing. That port did not become like that in one day. But let me just go over, and I got pictures here. You see supplies. Again, one of the challenges we have is the road. And like I said to you earlier, the budget we inherited wasn't our vision. That budget did not capture those renovations, and it took about 7 to 8 years to get that port to where it is. And I asked for patience and time. As I speak to you right now, renovation work is ongoing, and there are pictures here. There are new pictures that I will share with you so you can publish online. And I said to you, I try to stay away from the politics of everything else. If you visit our port, I think the feel you will get will be different from the pictures that was sent to you today. And I will share that with you so you can post on the Spoon Network, I believe. You can post it, and it's different. Again, we budgeted about $5.5 million for just capital projects, from PA rehabilitation to rehabilitating the office building. We are in talk with international partners to give us help at Buchanan with the breakwaters. So we got all of that money to work. But what happened over 10 years will not be fixed in 12 to 14 months. Give us time, we'll do our best to make sure we improve the phase of the port, we improve the capacity building of those ports, and we improve the overall infrastructure of the port.
Okay. So your closing comments for us, MD, so that we can wrap this up.
We final message. We are going to reframe His Excellency's message of no more business as usual. MPO will not be the same. Like I don't know if I'm gonna. Always, we are going to make sure that the president sent us to do serious work. We are following his mandate. The AID spell out aggressive agenda for reforming our country from infrastructure, and no better infrastructure to start with than the port, from the port to roads to everything else. So we're making sure that whatever the president wants done here, he wants the port to be efficient and honor his words by last base. By May 2028, we'll have a new terminal that will be not only accessible to us Liberians, but to the entire MRU and the international community. So we are committed to that each and every day.
Okay. All right, folks, thank you again to everybody. Mr. Pesa, it's your work, so you can just close it off for us. But from the team here, we'd love to say thank you for affording us the opportunity, and we look forward to such. Yeah.
Thank you. Damo, I think this was splendid. We will welcome you guys, at a later date to talk about some of the things we're going to be doing here. The MD talked about some of the plans the management team has to improve and actually change the face of the MPA. So you'll be welcome. One of the things he talked about basically is if you want to take a tour of the facility right now, when we came here, everybody was standing up, there was no chairs. Now you can have offices, people are now doing the work. I think the capacity building process you talk about in terms of training. So there are a lot going on here, there are a lot out there being said, but it's important to hear from the horse's mouth. I think you did. We want to say thank you for coming. We appreciate your time, Honorable MD. We say thank you for giving that highlight to the Liberian people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, our staff.
So folks, thank you so much for following. This is LNTV, and you just listened to the Managing Director of the National Port Authority, and Sekou ANTP providing highlight on the workings here at the National Port Authority. Thank you so much for following. Kamara is here. Thanks for following.